When you sell the premium, the best way to do it is to, first of all, start high and work lower. Why is that the case? Number one, you get to position in the mind what quote unquote high sounds like. And it's from that point that the relative comparison of what's considered affordable is better made. Again, there are some plans that cost $500 out there, and we've seen policies 5 or 6, into something like that. It's an absurdly high number relative to the norm. But what it does is it anchors in the mind of the prospect what expensive is. So going from 5 to 600 to 100 sounds like a great deal. So there's a relative difference and seemingly much more affordable deal, even though $100 by itself may sound expensive if there wasn't that comparison. Does that make sense? So what we like to do, typically, everything I set up there to like, hey, I don't want you to spend more. I would rather you blow it on something fun than drop it in 6 months and have nothing because it was too expensive. All of that was great. What's not was how we sold the premium. I just started with affordability. What I should have done is, so if I can qualify you for a program today, can you afford somewhere between $150 and $200 a month? That's the textbook approach to getting into selling the premium. We started $150 to $200 a month because it's generally on the high end of where clients pay. Most are going to say no. And it's from that standpoint that we back it down. Generally speaking, we end up in these, because of, our average premium, like I said, is $800 a premium. But what we find is, and mine was $540 doing this methodology. Does that make sense? So this is one of the reasons, like we do with inflation, that helps us increase our average premium size. But what we find is most people end up at 50 to 75 or 75 to 100. But it's way easier getting there. Hopefully you can see doing what I've just described versus what I did in this audio. It's going to be a lot harder of a trek to get to 50 or 75 because I've started off talking about $15 to $25 a month. So what's the moral of the story? The moral of the story is don't be like me. Don't be a coward. Start high. You're not going to get thrown off the phone. You're not going to get thrown out of the house the vast majority of the time. Will it happen like John described here? Sure. But they're probably going to hang up on something else anyway. But people who are interested will walk through this process. Okay. This is a critical, foundational, fundamental strategy you must do every single presentation is start high. Don't get upset or surprised when they say no or clench their chest. They won't do that. And when they say that, don't argue. Just say, that's fine. If I can find you a different program and it was between 100 and 125 a month, would that fit your budget? No, that's still too high. Okay. So if I went to a different program and let's say it was between $75 and $100 a month, would that fit your budget today? So you got to keep your frame here, right? Which is you're asking a serious question there, but you're not making it a big deal. Like, get your pencil sharpened. People generally get the idea like, okay, this guy's going to keep me on the line forever and just give me the price, right? So give me the quote stuff. This is how you deal with it generally throughout the call is, okay, if you're asking at this point, at least, well, how much do I get for whatever price? My response to that is going to be something like, hey, that's a great question. I don't quite know yet. There's still some extra steps I need to take, but here's the most important thing. At the end of the day, I could get you a multi-million-dollar policy, but it would cost an arm and a leg. Now, is that any good to what you're wanting to accomplish? Even though it's a large policy, you can't afford it. Doesn't make any sense, right? So here's the point. You're on a fixed income. You need to make sure that you're getting a plan that's going to be there not just today, but for forever until you go away. So the most important thing, I'm sure you agree with me, is making sure this is affordable. So let's do this. If I can qualify for a program that gets you covered, that gives your daughter peace of mind, knowing that everything's taken care of, just like you talked about earlier, could you afford somewhere between $80 to $100 a month? So I might give them specificity, not in face amount, but in if we can satisfy your needs and desires, right? In so many words. Can you afford something between this range? because I'm keeping their mind on the price. I'm keeping their, because that's all that matters. You can show numbers, but if they can't afford it, what's the point, right? So refocus back on what matters. This got to fit your budget.